Hello and welcome again to another edition of Digital Techniques by the resident crazy chick. That's me over at webcomicalliance.com. Dawn Griffin of zfcomics.com. And today I'm going to show you on this third episode how to use Live Paint and in combination with Live Trace in Illustrator. It's a pretty cool little technique for coloring comics, especially if you like the look of flat colors. This is a really neat way of doing it. Just point and click and you can lay in colors. First off, I'm going to show you my layers over here and how I set everything up. I have my text and my balloons or bubbles on two different layers here. I have my art on one layer. Then I have backgrounds if you care to put in different types of backgrounds. In this particular comic, I probably won't need it. And depending on how you do your comics, if you scan it in Photoshop, you can bring them in onto your art layer. Just a PSD will be fine. If you actually draw your comics, as I do now, in Photoshop, or in Illustrator, excuse me, if you actually draw them in Illustrator in vector form, you can do this as well. But your first step will be rasterizing, as silly as it sounds, rasterizing that layer of your line art, so that you end up with what I have here, which is a PSD that I plopped in here. And to look more into Live Trace, which is my first step here, I would refer back to Digital Techniques number 2, as it really discusses the options and settings and everything else that you need to know for Live Trace, because there's a lot to it. But for today's sake, I'm just going to do a quick general Live Trace. Over here is all the rest of the options that you can pick from, anything you might have saved. But today I'm just going to do the regular Live Trace. And then I'll hit expand. And what this does is divide up the drawings. I'll turn off the text and balloons there. Turns the rasterized drawing that I dropped in there into vector pieces. And it's all in black and white. There's some black layers that are all connected in there, and then the white layers, as you can see. Well, this sets it up for the easy way to just point and click and drop colors in. So let me show you a little trick here. Knowing that you probably don't want to color the black line art, what I like to do is to select one of the blacks and go to select same fill color. So it selects all the blacks throughout, and then I lock that selection. So now all that is available to click on is the white. I also usually lock this right here as well, this outside area. So you probably won't need to be coloring that either. So all that is selectable now is simply the white areas. And this is where Live Paint comes into play. This bucket right here with a little asterisk is the Live Paint bucket. You can select it. But first of all, you have to select all your white. Select your Live Paint bucket, and then as you can see when you roll over, it changes color. And you can decide what colors, a bunch of swatches. You can decide what colors to lay in. And as you can see, it took a little while there, but as you can see, it goes through and drops in color wherever you want it to be. Highlights in red in what area that you are rolling over that will drop in that color there. Let's go over here to the funny picture of Fred. And as we can just point and click and drop in the colors as we please. Another little trick is go to View and Hide Edges. This makes it a little bit easier to see what you're doing. Of course, later on you may want to remember to show edges again, just to keep that in mind. So you can go through and click and pick different colors, drop them in. Now the next problem that arose when I was using this tip is that sometimes your lines don't always connect in the right places. Like down here, Fred has a white belly. So right here, this side should be brown, but this side should be white. This is where I come in with the knife tool. I draw a little area that I want to connect. It says finding gaps. I will show you about the gaps here. So good suggested to go through and do this before you start coloring, just because it saves you some time. And then where I divide it up, there you can see now I can lay in white there for his white belly. Now adjusting the gaps is how much the spaces in between the lines, where if there's a sharp corner or something very small, you can tell the live paint tool to fill that out even though it's a small little space. Or you can tell it to just ignore that and go over it. Under Object, there is Live Paint and Gap Options, and you go in here. And this is Paint Stops at Small Gaps, Medium, or Large. I usually keep mine on small. And as you can see when you update here, it's updating the Live Paint group right now. There we go. And it says medium gap. So as you can see, it's laying out all the little areas that it divided up since I chose medium. And before with the small gaps, so here and here will be two different spaces to color. This is why I usually keep it on small, because that way coloring is just less of a headache. You can always use your knife tool to break things up a little bit more. Alright. Then once you're done, you can hit expand. Zoom back out. And remember to view show edges so you can see what you're dealing with again. And then as you please, you can go with your knife tool. If you want to add some highlights, I just mouse over this. Add some shadows. And as it's selected, you can always go in and start a new live paint group. There you go. As you see, you can add some shadows in there. And that is a very simple way of coloring, laying in the colors for your strip by just pointing and clicking, kind of like color by number. And that is the end of this tutorial. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them right underneath the tutorial there on webcomicaLliance.com, and I will be sure to answer them. And thanks again for watching this series, and look forward to the next one, where I'll be talking more about actually drawing in Illustrator if you have a Wacom tablet or if you have a tablet PC like I do, as that was my next step in my progression. But Live Trace and Live Paint is very, very good tools in Illustrator that I enjoyed and made coloring pretty easy. So good luck with them, and I'll see you around next time.